Tilder! This is the Viltrox 23mm f1.4. It's an aps-c lens, making it approximately a 35mm in full frame terms. Cost around $300. Comes in Sony, Fuji, and Canon EOS M mounts. It's got a USB port on the bottom for firmware upgrades. It has a sunburst type flare, nice and sharp wide open, 180-degree focus throw. The killer feature of this lens is the fact that you can actually repeat focus on this fly-by-wire lens. Do I recommend it? Absolutely yes. Done. Roll that intro. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. Welcome to the first video of 2021. A lot of things have changed. So without further ado, today we're going to find out whether or not this Viltrox aps-c lens, a 23mm f1.4, is going to be the right solution for you and your overall filmmaking kit. And I did reach out to Viltrox to see if I could review these lenses, and they graciously sent me out this one as well as another one, which is, I will leave video card up there once I've completed that review. And the reason I asked them is because these lenses are pretty budget for what they are, but they were getting really, really good reviews. And in terms of Viltrox as a company, I've actually really enjoyed just what they've made. I've only bought like one thing that they've made, which was their EF to Micro Four Thirds adapter, but they seem like they know what the customers want, and they're doing this on a budget level. So anyways, they sent me out this lens for review. Everything I want to say is my own opinion. And without further ado, let's go to the tests. For close focusing, I measured approximately 12 inches or 30 centimeters. When it comes to the face-eye autofocus on the Sony body cameras, it does a good job at tracking my face and eyes, and as I'm moving back and forth, it seems to be following along just fine. Doesn't look too jittery to me. When it comes to the flare characteristics, once you get a light going blasting basically to the center, we start seeing this sunburst type of flare. We don't really see a bunch of the element balls that you sometimes would see from lights coming in from an angle, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting flare. Now this lens has a 180-degree focus throw that's actually completely mapped out. So basically, as you can see here, as I'm moving between the two focus points, it doesn't matter if I'm going slow or fast, everything is mapped out, so you will be able to repeat focus on this fly-by-wire lens, whereas some other fly-by-wire lens that I'm going to show you later, you just can't do this. In terms of sharpness, these are pictures taken on my Sony a7 III to get as much megapixels as possible. And basically, yeah, blown up at 225%, it still looks pretty sharp wide open. So if you are concerned about sharpness when in video mode, don't worry, this is definitely more than sharp enough. And now you guys are looking at the Viltrox 23mm on my Sony a7S III in Super 35 mode, so this is 1080p. I have the lens completely wide open at f1.4, which means I had to adjust not only the field of view by moving the camera closer, but also the lights around here, because when I'm normally filming with my Tamron 28-75, it's an f2.8. So had to change a whole bunch of stuff just to get the exposure correct. Anyways, with all those very, very brief tests out of the way about how the lens performs, the flares and stuff like that, I want to basically hit the bottom line now. Why is this lens very exciting for me, and why I think a lot of filmmakers should start looking into these Viltrox lenses, especially the ones that they're going to come out soon for full frame cameras. So basically, it's the focus ring. The fact that they've mapped out everything with a 180-degree focus throw. Now, traditionally speaking, with a lot of fly-by-wire lenses from the earlier generations, they didn't have everything mapped out. If you move the lens barrel super slow or super fast, it actually was different each time. So, real quick example. If you take an old fly-by-wire lens versus the newer Viltrox or even some of the Sony lenses that are actually mapped out. And let's say we want to move 90 degrees on the lens. The old fly-by-wire lens, depending on if you move that 90 degrees slow or if you move it fast, if you're on the slow end, you might only move the focus plane by, let's say, a foot. And if you move it super fast, then you might actually jump the entire range of the lens from close focus all the way to infinity with that same 90-degree rotation. As you can see here in this example on the Tamron lens, which has the traditional fly-by-wire, if I'm moving at approximately the best speed, then yes, I can actually sort of repeat focus. But the moment I start going fast, you'll see that I've completely shot past any sort of focus and I can't regain it back. Now with these mapped out lenses, doesn't matter if you move slow, doesn't matter if you move fast, it's going to calculate, let's say, 2 feet. If 90 degrees of movement is 2 feet of focus plane movement, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you do it. And as you can see here in these examples, that does hit the focus between the marks. So why is this important? Because for me personally, I moved over to a Sony camera because I wanted a camera that finally gave me autofocus for when I'm doing YouTube videos like this. I want to be able to move in and out of the focus plane, and I want to be able to show something in the front and then come back. I couldn't do that with Panasonic cameras back then. But the one thing that kind of killed me was that, but that means I have to use all these fly-by-wire lenses, and the Tamron does not do well. It does the old version of depending on how slow or how fast you move that focus ring. So basically, I was starting to look into the Sigma lenses, specifically the EF Legacy versions, because pairing it up with an adapter, you get that nice old school feel of the lens and you get the autofocus. But I think with Viltrox entering the game, especially with their full frame versions that are coming out soon, if you're not shooting on a Super 35 sensor, they have a 24, a 35, a 50, they already have an 85. If everything is mapped out at a 180-degree focus throw, then I basically get the best of both worlds. I don't have to purchase these larger legacy EF lenses. I can get something that's a little bit smaller because it's made specifically for these mirrorless bodies. So that's why I'm very excited, because now I'll basically get the best of both worlds. I can have autofocus or I can pull manual focus if I want to, and it's not going to feel weird in terms of trying to repeat the focus. So that being said, I think Viltrox is onto something here. And in fact, I think Viltrox can actually do a little bit more. So Viltrox, if you're listening to me, what if you came up with a couple different firmware options? So let's say maybe somebody wants a 270-degree focus throw, or maybe a 360-degree focus throw. And basically you give people the option, hey, which firmware do you want to inject today? Do you want the Cine version, or do you want like the 90-degree focus throw for really quick run and gun stuff? I don't know. I think if Viltrox does this, I know it's a little janky that you have to basically plug it into the computer and inject whatever firmware you want whenever you want to change it. But I have a feeling most people have a preference. Some people think 90 degrees is perfectly enough. Some people think 180 is enough. But some people might actually want that full 360 because of all the minute fine-tuning of focus pulls they're doing. So Viltrox, if that's something in your wheelhouse, I think you definitely should think about it so that people will have the most options. And hey, that is it for this video, everybody. If this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I would truly appreciate it if you check out my Amazon affiliate links down below. Again, this costs nothing extra to you. It just gives me a little compensation so I can continue making videos like this for you. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.